Hi and Assalamualaikum everyone. So we are from class A4AS 120316. We'll present about COVID-19 outbreak that becomes a global pandemic, and we'll discuss about how can such a virus attack the human immune system and health, and how vaccination could play a role in curbing this outbreak. This video prepared by 5 group members that will discuss and present about our topic for today. Firstly, Mahira binti Khazan, Nur Afiqah binti Gani, Siti Sarah binti Nukhirul Ashurin, Aina Najwa binti Muhammad Syaifuddin, and Nur Hayatul Rindiani binti Razali. So firstly, introduction. The objective of this video is to identify why the COVID-19 outbreak is on the loose and becomes a global pandemic. Second, to determine how can such a virus attack the human immune system and health. Third, to determine how vaccination could play a role in curbing this outbreak.
History of COVID-19 begins when in December 2019, there was a cluster of pneumonia cases in the city of Wuhan in China. Some of the early cases had reported visiting or working in a seafood and live animal market in Wuhan. Investigation found that the disease was caused by a newly discovered coronavirus. The virus was subsequently named as a COVID-19. It spread within China and to the rest of the world. On 30 January 2020, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of the international concern. According to a global daily statistics, COVID-19 infections are still rising in 83 countries over the world. There have been at least 359 million reported infections and 5.26 million reported deaths caused by the new coronavirus so far. As we can see here, United States have the highest new infections and deaths among all the countries, followed by Russia, India, Italy, and Brazil. So what is a COVID-19? A virus that causes COVID-19 is in a family of viruses called coronavirus that consists of a core genetic material surrounded by a lipid envelope with the protein spikes. Coronavirus are the types of virus that typically affect the respiratory tract of mammals, including humans. They are associated with the common cold, pneumonia, and severe acute respiratory syndrome, and can also affect the gut. Coronavirus disease 2019, or we can call that as a COVID-19, is a contagious disease caused by a severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. The symptoms of COVID-19 are variable, but often include fever, cough, headache, fatigue, breathing difficulties, loss of smell, and loss of taste.
Second, virus infection. How does the virus spread? The virus spreads mainly between people who are in close contact with each other. The virus can also spread in poorly ventilated or crowded indoor settings where people tend to spend longer period of time. So how immune respond to the viral infection? The immune response to the viral infection happen in 2 phases. The first phase is innate immune response. It is general response to any infection. Innate immune response cells secrete interferon-1 and other chemicals like cytokines. Interferons interfere with virus replication. Then, phase 2 is triggered. Between the phase, infection can be stopped. Then, for the phase 2, adaptive immune response. It is specific response to the infection. It starts after 6 to 8 days after the viral infection. And it is involved 2 types of white blood cell. First, T cell for cellular response and B cells for antibody response. So how can we protect ourselves from being infected? First, stay home and self-isolate if you feel unwell, even with mild symptoms. Clean hands frequently with soap and water for 40 seconds or with alcohol-based hand rub for 20 seconds. Then, cover your nose and mouth with a disposable tissue or flax elbow when you cough or sneeze. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Then, maintain a minimum physical distance of at least 1 meter from others. Stay away from crowds and stay away from poorly ventilated indoor space. Use a fabric mask where physical distancing of at least 1 meter is not possible. Use a medical or surgical mask if you may be at higher risk. Lastly, regularly clean and disinfect frequently touched surface.
Then, but how does the COVID-19 virus attack the lungs? As we know, COVID-19 is a respiratory disease that especially risks at respiratory tract. When the virus gets into the body, it comes into contact with the mucous membranes that line the nose, mouth, and eyes. The virus enters a healthy cell and leaves the cell to make a new virus parts. Then it multiplies and the new virus infects the nearby cell. Just imagine that our respiratory tract is an upside down tree. The trunk is the trachea. It splits into smaller and smaller branches in the lungs. At the end of the branch, there are tiny air sacs called alveoli. This is where oxygen goes into the blood and carbon dioxide comes out. The new coronavirus can infect the upper or lower part of the respiratory tract. It travels down the airways. The lining can become irritated and inflamed. The infection can damage the walls and lining of the air sacs in lungs. In some cases, the infection can reach all the way down into the alveoli. Some patients might have severe pneumonia or acute respiratory distress syndrome (ARDS). ARDS can cause rapid breathing, a fast heart rate, dizziness, and sweating. It damages the tissues and blood vessels in the alveoli, causing debris to collect inside them. This makes it harder or even impossible for the patient to breathe. Then, the most critical cases is the lungs need help from a machine called ventilator.
Third,
what is vaccine? Vaccine is a substance containing a harmless form of the germs that cause a particular disease. It is given to people, usually by injection, to prevent them from getting that disease. What is the type of vaccine? There are 4 types here. The first one is whole virus. Many conventional use whole virus to trigger an immune response. There are 2 main approaches, which are live attenuated vaccines and inactivated vaccines. Both types use well-established technology and pathway for regulatory approval, but inactivated virus vaccines can be given to people with compromised immune system. Next is protein subunit. Subunit vaccines use pieces of the pathogen doing so minimizes the risk of side effects, but it also means the immune response may be weaker. This is why they often require adjuvants to help boost the immune response. Nucleic acid vaccines use genetic material, either RNA or DNA, to provide cells with the instruction to make the antigen. In the case of COVID-19, this is usually the virus spike protein. Since the antigen is produced inside our own cells and in large quantities, the immune reaction should be strong. A downside, however, is that so far, no RNA or DNA vaccines have the license for human use, which may cause more hurdles with regulatory approval. The last one is viral vector. Viral vector also work by giving cells genetic instruction to produce antigens. Viral vector vaccines can mimic natural viral infection and should therefore trigger a strong immune response. However, since there is a chance that many people may have already been exposed to the viruses being used as vectors, some may be immune to it, making the vaccine less effective. The table shows the COVID-19 name and the types. The first one is Pfizer-BioNTech. The name is Comirnaty at BNT16262 and the type is mRNA. The second one is Moderna. The name is Moderna COVID-19 vaccine at mRNA-1273 and the type is also mRNA. Third is AstraZeneca Oxford. The name is Covishield at AZD1222 and the type is adenovirus vector. Next, Sinopharm. The name is BBIVP CoV and the type is inactivated virus. Then Sinovac. The name is Coronavac and it also from inactivated virus. The vaccine name for CanSino is Convivicia at 85 and COVID, which from adenovirus vector. And the last one is Gamaleya Institution. The vaccine name is Sputnik V at GAM COVID VAT and also from adenovirus vector hybrid.
How do vaccine work and the side effect of it? First of all, after we have been exposed to an infection, our immune system remember the threat, in particular by producing antibodies. These are proteins that circulate in blood and throughout the body. They quickly recognize and disable the offender upon contact, thereby preventing or minimizing illness. This is why we usually do not get sick with the same bug twice. It's because we are immune. Vaccines mimic this process. It encouraging the immune system to make antibody without us having to go through the illness. There is 4 steps that we need to go through. Step 1 is someone is given a small amount of a harmless form of disease, and next their body will make antibodies to fight it off. Then if someone encounter the disease again, their body already has the antibodies, so they don't get sick again. Lastly, they were officially immune. There are a few side effects of vaccine. We go through the mild side effect first. Someone will feel the low-grade fever, muscle ache, redness, swelling, and other mild side effects. This happen depend on someone's antibodies. But the long-lasting side effect is something rare to happen, so we don't need to worry about it.
In conclusion, COVID-19 vaccinations are both safe and effective at protecting against COVID-19, particularly severe sickness and death. People who have been vaccinated are considerably less likely to be hospitalized or die as a result of COVID-19. In a vaccinated population, COVID-19 has a significantly more difficult time spreading. We are all better protected when more people are immunized.
And that's all from us. Thank you.